Welcome to Nightstand Coffee, conversations about marriage and friendship with Todd and Jennifer Stanley. This is Season 1, Episode 1, How It All Got Started. Thanks for being here with us today. Let's get the conversation going. Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. I'm Todd. I'm here with Jennifer.
Hello.
This is Episode 1 of Nightstand Coffee. Thank you for being here, being along for the ride. Let's see where this takes us.
So this is something we kind of talked about for a little bit. They were wanting to have like just a marriage conversation.
Yeah, I mean, we'd had people talk to us and ask us if that might be something that we would do. It's something we had talked about, and so we felt like there was a need there. We felt like we had some things that we could share. We've, failed at this enough that we've kind of learned some things.
Absolutely.
And so we wanted to share those things, and maybe they'll be helpful to somebody.
Yeah. So me and my friend Jill have a podcast called Busted Biscuits, and it's about like relationships and friendships. And so I would kind of say that maybe a spinoff of that, at least a little bit, because you and I had an episode on there that we talked about marriage and friendship, and we got a lot of feedback, a lot of interest.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, so let's launch this. Let's see what we can do. And so I definitely want to say we don't have all the answers.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I kind of jokingly said we failed our way to this point. And in some ways that's true. But I do think that we've learned some things along the way. I mean, and, just in our everyday lives, people, seem to appreciate the relationship that we have and what we've been able to build. And it's a pretty regular occurrence for people to ask us about marriage things. And so I felt like maybe this would be something that, would appeal to a wider audience, that we maybe could be helpful to somebody.
So we should probably give a little bit of credentials here, like why, because if people don't know us, which honestly I think is mostly going to be our friends that listen, like it might go back bigger than that, I don't know. But just in case, just in the wild hair of a case that someone that's listening that doesn't know us,
right?
I think we need to express kind of like just who we are professionally.
Okay.
So you can go first.
All right. Well, I am a pastor, and I've been in ministry for, all of our married life.
Yeah, and before
that. So all of my adult life, this is what I've given my life to. Felt like this is what God called and created me to do, and so I've been involved in ministry for my entire adult life. And I've been married to Jennifer now for 25 years. We have 3 daughters, Carly, Coco, and Claire. And then we have a granddaughter named Ari, who's 3 years old, and she's the cutest thing ever.
Oh, man. Yeah. Yes, grandbabies are amazing. And
it does feel weird to say we're grandparents.
I know. We're really too young for that. We're really young grandparents. So young. And so then for me, like I have a career in mental health. I also feel called to ministry. Like I know where I was at church camp age 14 when God spoke that to me and said, this is where you're headed. And so I definitely see my being in mental health and counseling as my ministry. So essentially I've had experience in community mental health and home health. And but in the last almost 5 years, this summer will be 5 years, I've been in private practice. And so and I love it. I absolutely love it. So it's been the best thing that could happen to me. And so I live it out. I just love it.
Well, and I would say this, like being a pastor, being a mental health professional, none of those things make you an expert at marriage. There's certainly plenty of people in ministry who have unhealthy marriages. And I would say we certainly started off on more, of an unhealthy place than we are now. By God's grace and some really hard work, we've gotten to a really, really good place in our marriage. And so I want to say that as much as anything, our willingness to persevere, to press into Jesus, to talk about our issues, all of those kinds of things, those are as much or maybe more, to be credited than, oh, look, we had it all together when we started because I'm in ministry and you're in mental health.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's not even close to accurate, like at all. So I do think we would want to start this episode kind of just telling our story. We want to, so for anyone that's listening that want to know like how we got connected. So this one should be fairly fun. And so I think let's just start there.
Okay.
So we met at church camp in Arkansas. We both grew up in Arkansas.
We did.
And you were the youth pastor. So in my hometown, there were two churches of the same denomination, and I attended one, but was in college. And then Todd became the youth pastor at the other one.
Right.
And so we met at church camp that summer of 98?
Yeah. 97.
Okay, 97. And so so that was, I've told this story on our Busted Biscuits podcast, but like really quickly after we met, we were talking in the auditorium we were there practicing worship, and so you're telling me something, and I'm like, oh,
so the band was playing, and it was really loud,
super loud.
So
I say to you, oh, really? That's cool, right? And then what do I find out later?
That what I had told you was that my dad's house had just burned down. So the childhood home that I grew up in. In fact, I had gone to a friend's wedding in Houston, Texas, and my parents lived in Texarkana, which is on the way.
Uh-huh.
And so I had stopped and stayed the night with my parents, and then driven on to Houston the next day to be at my friend's wedding. And then on the way back from the wedding, and bear in mind, this is like in the
Pre-cell
days.
phones.
Yeah, this is in the days before cell phones.
It's when rich people had cell phones.
Yeah. So I drive up to my house, right? I haven't heard anything from anybody. I literally drove up to a smoldering pile of ash where my family's house had once stood, and didn't know where my parents were, didn't know where anybody in the family was, didn't know what had happened, that kind of thing. And so
you tracked him down.
Yeah. So my mom and my dad were not together, and so I drove to my mom's house, and she had heard what had happened. Yeah, she knew what was going on, and so I was able to find out that my family was okay, thankfully. But yeah, so that's what had happened, and I was telling this to Jennifer because it had happened the day before. I mean, literally like 24 hours prior to meeting Jennifer, my dad's house had burned, and so I was telling her what was going on with my family, this tragic thing that had happened, and her response was, "Oh, that's cool."
So clearly, our communication started off not so amazing. So like that's our, first kind of real conversation. And then fast forward a little bit. I was in a dating relationship at the time. So I was in college about an hour from my hometown where Todd now was youth pastoring. And we liked each other. But I said to you, hey, I think I'm ending this relationship because I was kind of on a break. We were like checking things out to see where we stood. And so we were supposed to have a conversation later. And so I said, okay, yeah, I'm feeling like this relationship's ending, but so I'm not like quite ready to start dating, and so you said okay,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
we were just getting to know each other anyway,
right? And so then probably I don't know, maybe 2 months or so after that, I came home to a football game and was hanging out with you, and I said okay, yeah, I think I'm kind of ready to start seeing people. And you say to me, why? I've been happy with the way things have been going, and I really wasn't planning on dating anyone.
Yeah. And you always leave off the most important word in the sentence, right?
Because I don't think you said it.
And what I said was, I wasn't planning to see anyone else. I'm not planning to date anyone else. What I was trying to communicate was that I really liked Jennifer, right? And that I had no plans to see anybody else. Like, she was the only person I wanted to see. And that's what I was trying to communicate, but that is not what you heard.
That is not what I heard.
All.
And I'm like, really? Well, okay. So then I went back to college, and basically was like dating whoever asked me.
Yeah, and I think we're dating exclusively.
Yeah. So depending on who you ask as to how long we dated.
Yeah, so I dated Jennifer for 6 months before she was dating me.
Right. That's exactly what happened. And so like, he made me angry. Like, I think, I was hurt by that. And so then I was really hard to date. So like, I remember you called me at school one time and you're saying, hey, I'm having a hard time catching you. And I'm like, yeah, well, if you called me more often, then like you'd know my schedule. And you're like, okay. And so then you start calling me.
Called every day.
Yeah. And I'm like, you're calling me too much.
Yeah.
I'm like there is no way you're going to do anything right by me. I don't think.
So you may be laughing at this, or you may be cringing at this, because as you can see, like this does not bode well for communication,
right?
As our marriage is getting started.
True. And there was one time I told you we're never going to be any more than friends. Like, I'm not really sure why you keep coming around, and you're like, well, if that's all we ever are, that's okay. I enjoy spending time with you.
Yeah.
And I remember like going, will he just go away? Like, I cannot get him to go away.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I really, really like this person, but this is really hard.
Yeah.
You were not making it easy for me, but I really, really could see value in who you were. And, I wanted to be around you. And so I really was. When I said, well, if that's all we ever are, that's okay. As much as I didn't want that to be all that we ever were, I was okay with that because I just wanted to be around you.
That's super sweet.
Well,
I was mean though. Like, you would try to hold my hand in the car and I'd sit on my hands.
Yes.
Like, dude, I was hard.
Yes.
I was not nice. It's almost embarrassing.
Yeah.
So then fast forward a little bit. So I was in the car with one of my friends, and it was Angie Mannon. And so Angie says to me, so do you think that you're going to marry Todd Stanley? And I'm like, ew, gross. No way. I'm not going to marry him. And like, kind of went on a rant. And she says to me, what is your problem? I cannot believe you're reacting that way. Like, that's ridiculous. And so like, she chewed me out for a good 30 minutes about that. And so, which kind of made me stop and go, okay, so all right, what's this about? And made me rethink things a little bit. And honestly, it probably started my wall coming down. And so then,
shout out to Angie Mannon.
That's right. She's your best friend. And so then, I don't know, probably like a couple weeks or so, things just kind of turned around.
Yeah.
And where I liked you better. Now, there was one night that I came to a ball game.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I came home for a basketball game, and I brought a friend with me.
Yes.
A guy friend.
Yes.
And so
who liked you a lot?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, I did. Okay. I knew.
Well, so he comes to the game. So it's like I said, an hour away. We come. I think my sister was playing. So came to the game, and like, you were there.
Yeah.
And
so. Yeah, so you brought a dude on our date.
It wasn't a date.
It was, too.
I don't think it was. And so, like, I remember you getting up and going to the bathroom. And my mom saying to me, she's like, Jennifer, what did you do to him? I'm like, I don't know, nothing, And so there's just this look on your face, I suppose. Which,
yeah, well, I'm not the best in the world at hiding my feelings.
True.
And so I was so mad and so hurt. And I was, man. And honestly, part of the thing was that I fully expected that night for you to tell me that you didn't want to see me anymore.
Yeah. Because we'd had a hard conversation the night before, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so.
If not the night before.
Like, right. Yeah. Shortly before.
Right.
Yeah. And so, but then I ended up telling you that I did want to.
Yeah, I wrote a whole song about it.
You did. Yeah, you did. And periodically you sing it for me. Yeah. That's true. So then things just kind of started rolling, right? So then that was December-ish, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so I guess, man, we can fast forward to spring break. Like, we got serious pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, like, you went home for Christmas with me that year.
I did.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Because like a month prior, I was like, ooh, no. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to marry him. And then like a month later, you went to visit my family. Yeah.
Right. And then, so then spring break was probably like March-ish. And so my mom sat us down. Oh. Right? Because she knew we were kind of talking serious things.
Most awkward conversation. Well, no, second most awkward conversation.
Oh, yeah? We'll get to that other one, right? Sometime we'll share that. The first one. So my mom sits us down and says, I don't think you guys are supposed to be together. I don't think you should be married.
Yeah.
And so I am.
That felt great.
Yeah.
I love you, Kay.
Right. I was 19 at the time, and I kind of threw a 19-year-old fit and got up and left. Just left.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting there with her mom, who just said I'm not right for her daughter. but I don't want to leave because I want to be there when you get back.
And I don't want to come back. I just left. Like I took off driving. I was bawling my eyes out because I was so upset. I remember I stopped at my church and talked to my pastor and like just drove around. And honestly, I feel like I pulled over somewhere and ended up having to take a nap. Like I just exhausted myself with crying because I was so hurt and upset about it. And so,
so I ended up going and sitting out on the front porch of your parents' house so that I wasn't sitting there awkwardly with
so bad.
with your mom.
It's so bad.
So I was just like waiting on you to get back because I was like, I need to be here when she gets back.
Oh man. So I mean,
because I felt like that would communicate something to you. You know, that if I just left, then I would have been validating what your mom had said.
Yeah.
But if I was there when you got back, I felt like that would communicate something.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and so like in fairness to my mom, so like I was pretty strong-willed. I mean, I still am, but I've kind of, I don't know, managed it a little bit. And so mom felt like that I would just bowl over you.
Yeah, because I'm pretty chill most of the time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a different personality than your dad.
True.
You know, and so I think your mom was concerned that because I'm a little more laid back than your dad, that you would take advantage of that, you know, and that I wouldn't be able to say what needed to be said, you know, if it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And so like, it was just really out of concern that she would have said that, honestly. And so we tease her about it periodically, but she was just trying to love us well, I think.
Yeah. If I can elicit an apology from your mom within 15 seconds.
Anytime you mention it.
She just, you know, and we've grown to really love each other. I have great in-laws. So
yeah. Well, and so like just a brief side note, like I kind of used that situation for Carly. So our oldest Carly is 20. And so talking to her about like the stage of life that she's in. And so it's like, listen, I shared that story that I just told, and I said, here's the deal. You're at the age right now that you need to take the information that we give you and assess it. And so like, you don't have to mind us at this point.
Right.
But so we're going to speak into it, but you have to take it and figure out where the truth is. Like, do you value this? Do you do what we say? Do you do a different path? Like, you have to learn what the right answer for yourself is. And so then me as a mom, I have to understand that I may think I know what's best and I might not actually know. And so I've really tried to be mindful of that stage of life, that it's like, I'll speak it into you and then you decide, you know? Yeah. And so, so I think that's pretty important when you're hitting that age of life.
Yeah. Well, and this is parenting advice, not necessarily marriage advice, but even if you do know what's best, you don't get to make the decision, which is really hard as a parent.
That's true.
Know? And so then you got to be there when it doesn't work out so well.
Yeah. Stay tuned for those. We'll talk more about that at some point, I'm pretty sure. Okay. So we stayed together. Fast forward to July. You propose.
Yep. July the 24th of 1998.
Yes.
I
you did.
Proposed to you.
And so, and then we decided to get married in January. We got married January 2nd of 99.
In the middle of an ice storm.
Ice storm. So during the middle of like the rehearsal dinner, an ice storm comes into Arkansas. And so, Arkansas is not typically known for like snow season. And so like we weren't overly prepared. And so like
it was really unseasonable.
Man, it knocked out the power for like, it went off on Friday night during the rehearsal dinner and did not come back on until Tuesday. Yeah.
Now there is one caveat. So, where we had our reception, because it was a hotel, power was getting restored to hotels and medical places and things like that more quickly. And so we did have power for our reception.
Well, but so like I remember that morning that, the day of the wedding, my parents come to me and say, hey, people probably aren't going to make it to your wedding. Like, what do you want to do? And it was your grandpa that was getting us married. It was marrying us during the ceremony.
Was during the ceremony.
Yeah. And so I said, listen, if it's me, Todd, and Papa, that's all that's there. I don't care. I'm getting married today. Like, it's happening, right? Like, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm getting married. And so, also, you just
confirmed to everybody that we indeed are from Arkansas.
I said Papaw.
You said Papaw.
Well,
yeah.
you call him Papaw.
I do. He's my Papaw.
That's right.
I'm not ashamed of it. I'm just saying, like,
Right.
our friends in Pennsylvania will be like, Papaw.
Yeah. Yep. And so then like we were scurrying then all day. So we had a butane heater in the front of the altar. Like we had Coleman lanterns
Coleman
hanging.
lanterns for light.
We were carrying candles around. There's no heat. It's like people were like, bundled. The ones that did make it were bundled up in blankets.
Right.
I mean, like it was a thing. So then, but we got married. Like it's like shadows when you see in our video. Like you can hardly like see anything because there's like hardly any light.
Yeah, and cameras weren't great back then either.
No, that's true too. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, should we talk about the series of unfortunate events that our marriage, like our wedding was, not our marriage, but our wedding, like that wasn't the only thing.
Well, are we talking birdseed or something else?
Sure. Yeah.
Is that what you were? What I didn't know what you were referring to. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was going to tell birdseed. So this is back before the days of Pinterest, and so people were making those little birdseed packing a little.
Right. We were DIYing it.
We were. And so instead of I was like, you know what? People just want to grab a handful of birdseed and throw it at you.
We don't need to put them in the little packies.
We don't. That's a lot of work, extra money. We don't need to do this.
Yep.
So I had this brilliant idea that I was going to line a basket with some fabric.
Like
and
this
then,
red velvet. It was pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, I want, whenever it comes time, just like pour the bird seed into this basket and then people can just grab the handful that they want and throw it at us.
Right.
Because like that's what they want to do anyway. So, so apparently though, whatever they, I got back up.
Not apparently.
Definitely.
We learned the hard way.
We did. So I had purchased wild bird seed.
Right.
Because you would expect that we're out in pub, like wild birds would be the ones that would.
Yeah, they're going to throw this and it's going to be on the parking lot and in the grass.
Whatever,
and
those
the
wild
birds are
birds
going to come and eat it.
Yeah. Well, apparently they put cayenne pepper in wild bird seed because they're trying to keep the squirrels out of it.
Yeah.
And so we don't know this.
We did not know that. We do know now.
We do.
We know.
Mm-hmm. We personally experienced it.
Yes.
So like as we're going out, like if they're throwing the birdseed, well, it gets in my eyes. It's like my eyes are like red. I can't open my eyes. I cannot open my eyes, and they're just burning. They're just on fire and burning. It went
down my collar. It's down the front of your dress.
Yeah, and I can't even open my eyes for the last picture. I'm like, okay, so tell me when. Like count to 3, and I tried my best to open my eyes, and it was just atrocious. Like
kids who attended our wedding had thrown birdseed at us, and then of course inevitably they wiped their faces or they touched their eyes or whatever. So children are weeping, because they've got cayenne pepper in their eyes.
Yeah. So
everyone at our wedding got pepper sprayed.
Essentially, it was bad. It was bad. And so I would say nothing went right. I mean, we ended up married, but like there were definitely wax candles like got on people's clothing because they're trying to carry it so they can see where they're going.
Because that's the only way we could see what was going on.
Yeah. And so it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, because it was pre-iPhone. No one had a flashlight on their phone.
No way. So that was it was a little on the chaotic side, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. But we were married at the end of it.
We were. So then
and no one forgets our wedding.
This is true. They tell us that all the time. I'll always remember
25 years later, we see people and they're like, I'll never forget your wedding.
And you're like, not for the right reasons. No. It wasn't Pinterest amazing. It just was. So, all right. So then just to finish our journey here, you moved to Springfield, Missouri. We finished college together.
Uh-huh.
And then you were in a band. So your bandmates lived in Kansas, so we decided we were going to go to Kansas.
We're going to move to Kansas. That's
right. So you could pursue the band. The band didn't really make it very far. Didn't do a whole lot with it.
Yeah, I mean, we did some things, but nothing.
Yeah,
we
had T-shirts.
You can't find us on iTunes.
This is true.
So.
And so then we stayed in Kansas for 13 years.
We did. So I took a position at a church there.
A few churches.
2 different churches that I was on staff while we were there.
That was more than that, but okay.
Well, I volunteered at
maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably true. So we almost lived in the same house the whole time. We right before we came to Pennsylvania, we just had a new house, but we lived outside of Kansas City.
Yeah.
So we were KCK.
Right.
And all our girls were born there. My career started there. Maybe continued there because I had done some mental health work in Springfield, but then. But the bulk of my training would have come there. I think there. And so then, I mean, at some point, maybe we could tell how we got to Pennsylvania. But then in 2014, we moved to Pennsylvania. Yeah. And so there was crazy things that happened that just fell in place for us to move up here. And so then we've been here since then. So it'll be 10 years this summer,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's hard to think
10
about
years
that.
in July.
So what do you think what would you say has been the hardest for our marriage? Can you think of what's made it hard?
What's made it hard? I mean, I think I can't speak for you, but I know I was not good at communicating my needs or wants. And then built up a lot of resentment when those needs weren't being met, So it's that whole thing of like, I have these needs. I'm not telling you what they are, but I'm going to be mad at you because you're not meeting them. That was a big thing for me.
Unexpressed, unmet expectations.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I had not grown up with a healthy example with my family. My mom and dad had divorced when I was 10. And then my dad and his second wife, my stepmom, Ramona, didn't start off very well either. It was a really rough going for several years after they married, and so like I didn't have the best examples, and so I just didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah,
I didn't know how to be a good husband. I didn't know how to communicate my needs. I didn't, I was just not equipped.
Yeah, and I think if there were times that that maybe if I felt let down, like I decided that you could probably never fix it. Like, well, that's just how things are.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I definitely, there were times, there was a season in our marriage where I felt written off. Like I didn't feel like I mattered to you at all. Like what I did didn't matter. What I said didn't matter. I was just like, I was an inconvenience,
Yeah, and so I think there were times that there was things I needed from you that I didn't get, and so I'm like, well, forget it. I'll just take care of it.
Yeah.
And so then that.
Yeah, and I mean, and all I wanted was to meet your needs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, and then we had a really rough patch for a while.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And we did end up in marriage counseling for a little while.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we learned by failure. It was trial and error, mostly error. And thankfully, I think so. Here's the thing, I had it not been for our commitment to Christ, we would not be together.
Yeah.
And so first and foremost, I want to say, it is the grace of God in our shared commitment to Christ that carried us through all of that. And then because of that, we were committed to doing the work. And it was work. It was hard, and there's still days we don't always get it right. We're learning still, and probably will be learning for the rest of our lives. But what I do know, what we have arrived at, where we're at, is we're at a place where we, like, at least for me, I did not have great confidence in marriage, right? Because of my experience with my parents. And so I felt like conflict was an automatic, like, we're getting divorced if we argue about anything, or if we disagree on anything, or if I make you mad at all, like, and so for me, I didn't have a confidence that things would last. And so I never felt secure. I never felt like I could share what was going on. Like if there was something that was bothering me, I couldn't share that because that I'm going to cause conflict. I'm going to cause problems, you know? But like I said, what then happened was I built up anger and resentment. And so now, though, we've arrived at a place where, like, man, like, I know that you are my ride or die. You're going to be with me, And I know that just because I'm upset about something, or you're upset about something, or we may not see eye to eye on a particular issue, or that's going to be okay. That we're going to work it out. That we are committed to each other. And it's that kind of security that then gives us the freedom to be ourselves.
Yeah.
And to grow together, and to recognize that love's not confined to whether or not we always agree.
Well, and I would say that like our marriage has been in a good spot like since coming to Pennsylvania. Like we didn't arrive here in a good spot.
No.
I think, we had to work through some things. And so
yeah. I think there were still some residual things from some things that had happened when we were in Kansas that we were still working through,
and so like we've been here 10 years, but it wasn't amazing. So I don't know, I give us a good 7-8 years maybe that's like we kind of started getting better. And
yeah, I mean, I would say it was getting better before that. I think I would say then it took that long for us to get to a place of healing. I think we were definitely like committed to each other before that, right? But I think we kind of hit our stride. We found our sweet spot.
Yeah, that's good. So let's explain why we picked this name, Nightstand Coffee.
Yeah. So we went through a really, really bad season in our marriage. So I would say this, like things were not great, probably almost from the outset.
Yeah.
They weren't terrible, but because like there were some pressures that weren't there. We didn't have any kids yet, all that kind of thing. And so you're able to spend time together. And so there were cracks, but that we were kind of able to mask them because anytime we wanted, we could go to dinner, we could go to a movie, we could go out with friends, we could, and so, but then when the pressure of parenthood comes in and,
career stuff and finances,
all of that stuff starts coming in, then, then the cracks start to show a lot more. And so, we went through a really rough season, that culminated in you asking me to move out for a time. And it wasn't a long time, but man, it was long enough. It felt like an eternity to me.
Yeah. I mean, it was less than a week.
Yeah, but
we needed that, I think. Maybe you don't. Okay.
Well, I mean,
it did what it needed to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it was painful.
Yeah.
It was hard. And for me, man, like there was just this overwhelming sense of shame, failure. I had sworn to myself that my family would not end up like my parents, that things would be different for me, that, all of that kind of stuff. And so like, here I am, and you've asked me to leave. And all I could think is, my parents at least made it 15 years. Here we are. We're only at 13. I didn't even do as good as my parents did.
You never told me that. But I think people were praying for us in that season, like that week, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, we were communicating during that time, and you were talking about the possibility of letting me come back home, and you asked me what I was going to do differently and how I was going to prove myself, basically. And I don't know why I picked this, but one of the things that was on my list was I'll bring you coffee in bed every morning. I say I don't know why it was on my list. Here's why it was on my list. I know it's not a big deal for me to bring you a cup of coffee in the grand scheme of things. But I also knew that what I had to prove to you and what I had to do for my own heart to be shaped in such a way that I would love you sacrificially was that small thing would be a way that I could start every day with an attitude and with an act that said, I will serve you. I will love you. I'm committed to meeting your needs, And so, there's in Ephesians 5, the Apostle Paul talks about he says, husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her. that he might present her to himself a bride, without spot or wrinkle, washed by the word and cleansing, and so I felt like, okay, my role as a husband is to live for my wife to flourish, right? And like Christ presents us as a bride without spot or wrinkle, washed and clean, and so it's like, I want my wife to be cast in the very best light that she can. I want her to flourish. I want her to be everything that she can be. And the way that I'm going to accomplish that is by loving her like Christ loved the church and give myself to serve her, give myself to provide, give myself to care for her, give my, and so that was a way that I could do that in just a small way every morning to say, hey, I'm here for you. And to position my heart as a servant and say, I'm gonna give myself to love you. I'm gonna give myself to make sure that you can grow and to be everything that God's called you to be and crafted you to be. And so every morning, I go down to the kitchen and I make coffee, French pressed, fresh ground. It's the only way.
You're a coffee snob, but yeah, we like that.
So anyway, I go down to the kitchen and I make coffee and I pour a cup for myself and I pour a cup for you. And then I bring it, you're usually still asleep. So I put it in a travel mug so it stays hot. And so I bring a cup and I place it on your nightstand so that it's there when you wake up.
Well, and I'm almost at the point where I don't quite know how I take my coffee. Isn't that's ridiculous? Like, there's nothing more like
you can't make your own cup of coffee.
Almost, yeah. Which is like that's super spoiled, right? Like I kind of think I don't know. I don't know exactly how I take it, but I will say too that like the image that we're using for the podcast is like my actual nightstand. Now, granted, I had to clean it off in order to take a picture because I do have a lot of stuff on my nightstand. But so that's my actual nightstand with the actual tumbler that you had used that day, you know. So, and so like it's just we wanted to show that as our commitment, that like commitment to the marriage, and that like this is a daily. So it's a daily reminder to me, right? So every time I wake up and there's my coffee, I'm like, oh, he's committed to me, right? Yeah. Like he's dependable. I can depend on, because there was times I didn't think you were dependable.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, that's just this really small act that
it means something for us. I don't know that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I'm not saying that I'm not prescribing that for everybody else, but there should be for you something that is significant and symbolic of your willingness to live for the other one, for the other person, to give yourself to them, to serve them. So it's a way for me to posture my heart and position my heart every morning, and I've, a lot of days when I set that mug down on your nightstand, I'm praying for you as well. And
I didn't know that.
And it's just, it's that thing where I go, it's about sacrifice. It's about self, and like, man, my deepest desire is to be like Jesus, because he's loved me, right? And so if that's a small way that I can do that, then, man, like, then I want to engage in that. I want to do that. And then I want to pray, Lord, let this be I don't know what the word I'm looking
symbol?
for. Yeah, I suppose so. Like, of the way that I live my life.
Don't representation.
Yeah. I don't want it just to be, because like I say, in the grand scheme of things, bringing you a cup of coffee it's not a great sacrifice, right? I mean, I'm making coffee anyway. It's not like, but really, the reality is that prior to that time, I might have brought you coffee, but probably my heart would have been, she can get her own stinking coffee. I got to walk up 2 flights of stairs to bring this back to the bedroom. And it's hard for me to even admit that that's how petty my heart was. But again, because I was in a place where I had allowed bitterness and resentment and anger to build up, a lot of it based on the fact that I wasn't telling you what I needed from you anyway. Like, it's hard for me to recognize it or to admit, that's how petty my heart was. And that's where my heart was at. But that's where my heart was at.
Right.
And it didn't go away automatically.
Yeah.
But bringing that cup of coffee every morning and remembering why I was doing it, man, that started to eat away and to tear away at that stuff, and the Lord was able to say, hey, this resentment that you're holding on to, this anger that you've been, this entitlement that you feel, all of that is junk and you got to let it go. And so, the scripture doesn't ask me to serve you as my wife and to sacrifice myself and give myself to you as my wife only on the days that you do what makes me happy.
Right.
While we were sinners, Christ died for us. And so I made up my mind. Like when you let me come back home, I had already made up my mind that if I had to sleep on the couch or sleep in another bedroom for the rest of my life, that I was going to love you sacrificially, whether you ever love me back or not.
And the miraculous aspect is that when you loved me that way, I did love you back. It took some time. It wasn't automatic. It definitely took some time. But I think I've said this before many times that like you love me well. Our marriage is good because you love me well. It's not me, and I respond. You love me well, and I respond.
Well, and I think that's if we look at the Word of God, that's exactly how a relationship between God and us works. And the Apostle Paul is clear that the relationship between a husband and a wife is supposed to be reflective of the relationship between God and his people, right? And every time in the relationship between God and us, it is God who initiates and we who respond. We were sinners. We were far from God. We were dead in our trespasses and sin. And he comes and he demonstrates his love for us, right? He gives himself for us. It's his kindness, right, that leads us to repentance. You just said that, right? And so all of those things, it's God who is the initiator. It's God who takes the first step. It's God who does the first thing. And so I just, I was like, man, I think as a husband, that's got to be my job. I've got to be first. I can't wait for you to tell me you love me. I can't wait for you to serve me. I got to be first, and then because God has created man and woman, husband and wife, to be reflective of our relationship with him, then it works that way. Like if I initiate, if I love you well, why would you not respond to that?
Yeah. For sure. And I will say, like, as far as the nightstand coffee goes, that even when we would fight, you'd still do it.
Yeah.
Like, it was never conditional, and there's been times that, like, I had to get up and you didn't, but you'd get up anyway, you make my coffee.
Yeah.
And there's been a few times I've had to wake you up and nudge you to say, I need my coffee. Full disclosure. But you don't get mad at me. You're like, oh, okay, let me go do that. So it's playful, but yeah, you've definitely stuck that out. And so I appreciate that.
Well, thanks.
And I guess
I enjoy doing it.
Good.
I do. I mean, gosh, I've probably been, 12 years now I've been doing that.
Yeah.
13, maybe. Coming on that.
Maybe. I think just 12.
Yeah, but I haven't gotten tired of it.
I shouldn't say but
yeah.
Almost half our marriage. Not quite, but close, right? So really close.
Yeah, and it's still it's still significant. It still means a lot to me. I can't say that I think about that every morning. Like, oh, this is the rainbow. This is God's sign of the covenant. I don't know that I think about it that deeply every morning, right? But it is not uncommon for me to like think about all that cup of coffee represents, all that it means. And it's a joy. It's an honor for me to do that for you.
Thank you. I do want to add to this as well that no matter where we had been in our marriage, you've always been an amazing daddy.
Well, thanks.
You've been good to our girls. And I think that you parented them well. I think that they see how that you love me. Even in the early days, like, you always were very, very good with our girls.
Thank you.
And they know that they can depend on you.
Thank you.
You're a good girl, Daddy. And a good Papa T.
Yeah.
Right? Ari loves you too. She knows who loves her.
She knows where to go when she wants to get something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think as we move forward, we just want to kind of tackle some topics, right?
Yeah. We're just gonna have conversation.
And so, if there's anything that you want us to talk about, or you're like, hey, I want your opinion, or we're dealing with this, like, could you discuss this? Tell us, right? So, like, if you see us at church, stop us. If you want to send an email, if you find us on Facebook, like, whatever. We haven't created an email for this podcast. Maybe we'll do that at some point. But I think there's a way to even comment on. There's a question and answer section, I think, on the actual episode.
Yeah,
pretty sure. So, like, if there's anything that you're like, oh, hey, like, what do you think about this thing, or could you talk about this? Like, that'll be helpful to us.
Yep,
because
sure.
we want to make sure that we're talking about things that would matter to you.
Right. We want this to be helpful, and we want your marriages to be healthy and to grow and to honor God. And so, however we can do that, we want to hear from you.
And so I anticipate we have funny stories to share. Like we end up having funny things that happen, I think. And so we just want to spend time together. This will be released on Wednesday. On a Wednesday, we've decided that we, picked Wednesdays, and but we haven't really discussed how often we'll post. So we'll just play that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, but I'm really excited.
I am too.
I hope people listen, even if it's just my mom. Maybe your mom too. Okay. All right. So we don't even have a
we don't have a tagline.
No, we don't. No. So drink some coffee on your nightstand. Till next time.
See you guys.